and welcome to Cricbuzz Live. I'm Saiyami Kher and the Tigers take on the Kiwis today. Well, the Kiwis have been very dominant so far. The trendsetters this World Cup, the first ones to get a fifer, the first ones to get 150 plus runs. So they're sitting pretty at the top. At number 2, they want to go to the top after today. But will Bangladesh spin a surprise at the Chepauk? We'll find out. We've got Chennai boy Dinesh Karthik and Zaheer Khan in the studio. Welcome, gentlemen. Good to have you back, DK, after all your travels around. It's good to have you back. And Zach, always good to have you back. But on a neutral game like this, do we have a supporters or it's just that cricket should be a winner?
Yeah, you're being very cheeky. It's a neutral game for Zach and I. For you, it's not a neutral game. I know you're the biggest supporter of Kane Williamson, so don't even say it's a neutral game.
I really want New Zealand to do it. I'm very excited that Kane is finally back. So, I know my answer, but for you all, do you all have any supporters for today's game?
But is he back for sure?
Kane is back for sure.
Have they announced it?
Yeah, he's just walking, I think, for the toss.
Okay, then this is perfect.
He announced it yesterday.
That's why the big beaming smile from Saiyami as well, if you notice.
Yes, and something to finally
supporter.
look forward to. Kane Williamson back on the field, especially after all that he went through. So I'm guessing we're all rooting for New Zealand then?
Well, I think looking at the venue, then you can't rule out Bangladesh's chances. Because the slow bowlers will be in action. I think the captain winning the toss will look to bowl first, make use of the dry conditions, and maybe New Zealand tactically, Kane Williamson is one change for sure, but maybe opt out a bowler and then go for a slower bowler. Maybe Ish Sodhi might come in. So those are the other things which we can look at right now. But I think if it was on any other venue, you would have said New Zealand is going to just have a great day. Here, you never know. I think Bangladesh will be in with a chance for sure.
But DK, New Zealand has been in the red hot form like our chairs are right now, but they seem to be doing everything right. You know, that dominant win, the 9-wicket win against England, then against Netherlands. They've defeated Bangladesh in a bilateral 2-0. So they're coming in with confidence. They always like to lay low and let their game do the talking, which they're doing very well.
You know, before the start of the World Cup, Zach, myself and Chepauk did a piece on who would obviously be the top 4. And we're very reluctant about New Zealand. But we also said, every time they play in a World Cup or a multi-nation tournament, they always punch a little above the weight. And I've been maintaining that they're very, very good at doing that. Yet again, they've started a World Cup on a very strong note. If you remember in 2019 as well, they started very, very strong. They won the first 6 out of 6, out of which one was washed out against India. But they were almost into the semi-final after the first 6 matches, and that shows the kind of skill that they have. They also have this innate knack of finding a way to come together and to play a lot better than what they do in bilaterals. How they manage to do it, only New Zealand can. I think there's a secret sauce for that, and they're very well aware of it. And you can see the scores that we just put up in terms of graphics. They beat New Zealand with a much lesser side. Most of the main players, it's not only Kane Williamson, a lot of them were rested. Lockie Ferguson actually captained that team, and they went and still ended up doing well in Bangladesh. They've started this World Cup brilliantly. They had a bit of a stutter against England, where they won the first game comfortably, and the next 2 they were blown away by England. But again, the last game, when they had the chance to level the series, they found a way to dig deep and win that match. So that is a team which constantly does this support. I mean, it has a great supporting cast, no big names per se. Even the Kane Williamson, we always speak about him because he's one of the greatest batsmen ever to have played. But if you do look at how New Zealand operate, they don't have any big names standing out, and we don't sit down and speak in these shows for half an hour about each player. But they always find a way to do well in World Cups, and quite the team to watch. Very pleasing, they play a very attractive, soft brand of cricket, which is liked by public.
But Zach, you know, like DK was saying, they play this brand of cricket which is unassuming, if I can use that word. They just go about doing their things, but they look like how DK is when he comes on Cricbuzz, like that first bencher who's very prepared with his homework. So I think New Zealand is that kind of a team, right? Like when they come into a big World Cup campaign, they're almost so prepared with regards to, which all teams do, but it just feels like New Zealand puts that extra effort in their homework before they come into a big tournament.
They are. I think it's one of those teams where you know the result doesn't really matter that much. Like you'll see them winning, but their body language, their approach, it'll be the same. If they lose, then also it will be the same. What they believe in the process, what they believe in a lot of data. I think this is one of the teams who actually spend a lot of time in analyzing batters, analyzing conditions, analyzing pitches. They might find a very small little thing which they want to play with in a particular game. And you've seen that in the tournament so far. With England, they've left out Lockie Ferguson. Now, Lockie Ferguson was captaining the side just leading up to the World Cup, and he's not finding the place in that playing 11. Shows you that that they are just going tactically, taking advantages of different venues, different situations, and not really looking at the team stack up. So basically, they're giving importance to what it's required on that day against that opposition in that venue under those conditions, and just going accordingly. That has been their success mantra also. It's just basically, we say finding a way of winning a game, but how do you do that? You take into consideration all these small little things, and then you give yourself the best chance. Now, every day you're not going to have success with that, but they understand and try and take the learnings from that experience and try and get better. And right now, if you see, say, Rachin Ravindra is a great example of that. That getting in the tournament, no one really thought he's someone who is going to be a force to reckon with. But he has supported Conway very well. Now, Kane Williamson coming back is only going to strengthen that side. So these are the things going for New Zealand. England game was the biggest game for them because you need to topple one of those top teams. They've already done that. So they will definitely fancy their chances in the tournament to be one of those early qualifying teams when it comes to semis.
If at all we do that show again about the top 4, we just put Australia in there straight away, all of us. And I think if we had to change, we'll definitely look at New Zealand, who look like very strong contenders along with South Africa. At least I feel Pakistan maybe, we all put them in the top 4. Maybe they still have a chance. But I do feel Australia, with how things have panned out in this first week, it feels it's going to be an uphill climb for them.
Well, New Zealand have started off on a winning note because they've won the toss and decided to bowl first at the Chepauk. We'll have a look at New Zealand's playing 11. That one change which we knew about is Kane Williamson is in and Will Young is out. But surprisingly, Zach, there is no Ish Sodhi there. They've decided not to go ahead with him.
Yeah, I think that's a surprising thing for me for sure, because Ish Sodhi was someone who was expected to play today. They've not opted for that. Which means if the pitch is on the slower side, you might see Chapman bowling. You've seen in Bangladesh, you have few left-handers. In the middle overs, you can always use an offie. You have two.
Chapman is not there, I think, no?
Chapman is there, right?
He's in the. Yeah. Can we have a look at the playing 11 again? But he is.
So So Mark Chapman is someone who can contribute along with Glenn Phillips, and Rachin is also that left-arm spinner along with Santa. So there are enough slow bowling options there, and maybe. Against Bangladesh, if there is, they might have just kind of taken that insurance. What in a scenario if they lose the toss? True. We've seen with Australian bowlers extracting those conditions, having extra pace against a team like Bangladesh always helps. So I think they've gone with that kind of a thought process.
DK Simon actually said this. He was here yesterday and he said he wouldn't be surprised if they went ahead with Matt Henry and the seamers because, like Zach was talking about, the homework that New Zealand does. So yes, the conditions at Chepauk are spinner friendly, but the team that they're playing, they try to go ahead with a seamer as opposed to a spinner.
I think Zach is bang on. In an ideal world, they would have played Ish Sodhi. But if you see his recent record, it's been very, very ordinary. He's struggled a bit. He's not been consistent, especially bowling between 11 and 40 in that second power play where you have that extra fielder in. He has struggled to bowl consistently in that period. And hence, they would have gone for Lockie Ferguson. And interestingly, Lockie Ferguson also hasn't bowled well for some time now. It's only been Matt Henry and Trent Boult who's bowled brilliantly, especially Matt Henry in this World Cup. But their mainstay has been Tim Southee, who's injured. But I completely agree with Zach. Looking at the team, I also thought Ish Sodhi will be a walk-in. You think of Chennai, you think the ball is going to turn and you look at it and go, let's play Ish Sodhi. But just the fact that he hasn't bowled well, and what Zach alluded to, Mark Chapman and Rachin Ravindra, both being left-arm spinners, they have the option of bowling enough spin. This is a very all-round, versatile side. If you do see Daryl Mitchell can bowl, Glenn Phillips can bowl, they have a lot of bases covered. They have a lot of bowling options for a start. So that's why this team is not easily beatable on most days, only because they have the variety in the attack. They fall back on various players. If you remember the England game, it was Glenn Phillips who came in and picked up 2 wickets at different points of time. So they have this uncanny knack of producing surprises, and the one thing that doesn't surprise us is how well they play in a World Cup.
Well, New Zealand has all the options, but let's have a look at Bangladesh's 11, because they are kind of struggling there with finding their batting in coming together. But Zach, are you happy with this playing 11? Anything you'd like to change around in this playing 11?
Well, if you're batting first, you'll look at what kind of options they have, and I think Shanto, Litandas, Ridoy, and Shakib, these are the individuals which they'll turn to put up that score. Like I said, in these conditions, if there is enough help on offer with slow bowlers, they will be able to make that impact. Add Mustafizur's slower ones. That also can be a handy option on these kind of surface. If the team is under pressure, you can further build that pressure by using these bowlers nicely. Tashkin is someone who has been very good with the new ball. I'm very impressed with the kind of extra bounce he's getting from the surface and how consistent he is with his lengths. So that is something which always Bangladesh relies on when they're defending totals. But for that, you need first runs on board, and I think that's going to be the critical factor for Bangladesh.
Well, DK, that's where they have been kind of really struggling, because yes, that top order has been a problem because there's so much pressure on Litandas, but it's also Bangladesh, they're not coming in with the confidence, the form that they want to. Yes, they started well against Afghanistan. Immediately when they had a team against England, you could see their weakness. So with Bangladesh, if there's a team which is kind of at par with them, they will maybe get a one up. But when there's a team which is more dominant, their weaknesses show.
True, that's been the case for some time now. If you do look at that stat, is very telling of their situation right now against teams who are there in this World Cup. You can see their win percentage is just 33, and the main reason for it being their openers have struggled. Without Tamim Iqbal being around, they have opened with very many options. None of them have done well. It was just the one match where Mohammad Naeem and I think it was Liton Das or Mehdi, I'm not sure, they got a 50-run partnership in the recently concluded Asia Cup. Otherwise, their opening partnership has been abysmal for some time now. And as you can see, and you can't have an opening partnership that averages 18 and expect to win games of cricket, especially against good teams. Now, even today, they're going to struggle because Matt Henry is going to find some swing a little bit, at least for the first 2-3 overs that he bowls. Bolt, as we all know, is good, but Matt Henry looks the bowler in form today. And for them to get past that spell is going to be a struggle, because the one thing Tanzid is doing is he's playing far too beside the line, and he's looking like a person who can nick off every second ball, and that is a very weak link for them. The one player who's done really well, who we'll be speaking about, I'm sure, is Mehdi Hasan, but the batting per se has struggled a lot in the recent past. Their bowling is actually very, very good. What used to be the case many years ago was the fact that they didn't have medium paces. Today, they have a very solid medium pace attack with Taskin, Shoriful and Mustafizur. All three are very, very good bowlers. Shoriful, in fact, got a 4-4 against England the last game. He looked good. And they have, obviously, Shakib Al-Hasan, who's their mainstay in bowling, have a couple of spinners to deal with. But for them, if the batting doesn't get going, it is going to be a problem. Luckily for them, I think it's a blessing in disguise that they've lost the toss and they're batting first. The last 2 games they've chased. One was a low-scoring target. They got it against England. They were completely all at sea. Here is an opportunity for a little lesser pressure on the batters and to do something special.
Zach, the last 10 ODIs that they've lost, they've not gone beyond 240. And the problem is only one person shows up on a given day. So it's not like you have supporting, like if you see these stats here, 227, there's like every time they've scored these runs, there's just one person who showed up. The partners have not supported whoever else has played.
Yes, these numbers are not supporting, and that has been the concern. And we've been talking about it, and that's why this venue actually evens these numbers out. So imagine on a given day, which is today, they go out and they get 240. Somehow manage to get 240, 250, 260, around that score. On this venue, that's a good total. Yes. We've seen at 200 how India struggled on this pitch. If the dew factor is not a big factor in today's match, they can find a way of putting New Zealand under pressure. It's not an easy pitch to bat on. Any batter, even if you are in form, you have to go and make that little adjustment here. You have to be very careful with choosing your options. So those are the things which we always look at. I think these numbers are not giving them enough confidence, but on this venue, if they are able to get past 240, it will be a very interesting game.
But DK, to get past 240, there is Litton Das, who all the pressure kind of goes onto his shoulder. But who do you see supporting a Litton Das today?
For them, the best batter in this period between, in the last 2 years, let's put it, has been Shanto. He has been their mainstay. He bats at number 3 and he's done really well for them. He needs to get runs because this is an attack which has 2 good left-arm spinners. At least the off spinners are more part-time. So here is an opportunity for somebody like Shanto to do well. We all know what a Shakib is capable of, and Mushfiqur can play the supporting role, but it has to be Shanto. I would be very surprised if Litton goes on to get that big score. I would put my money on Shanto only because this condition will suit him, and the fact that he plays spin well will also help him a lot. So I would, as a Bangladeshi fan, I'd be looking out for Najmul Hussain Shanto.
But do you think maybe a Shakib should kind of promote himself and not play at 5, because again it's taking responsibility, playing where he was best at playing at number 3?
No, I think he's past that stage in his career. I feel at this stage in his career, when he's leading the side, he's using his experience. Number 5 is more suited for him, is what the feeling I get. He did try promoting him up the order, but has not worked. He has not been in the greatest of batting form. He has been much better, much more consistent with the bat in hand, and then add with his slow left armers. But I think lately this one area for sure he needs to get little more consistency with the bat in hand. That has been a concern, and because of that, it's better to bat him at number 5, where he can see if the platform is already strong. He can just consolidate on that. But with added responsibility, he has not been able to deliver with the bat in hand, and that has been a bit of concern. Maybe one innings in Asia Cup where he played. Other than that, I can't recall his innings in the last couple of years where he's made that impact with the bat.
For them, their batting lineup is such that at Litton is sure at opening, Shanto at 3 for sure. So what they have done is they've kept Shakib and Mehdi Hassan as floaters.
Yes.
If early wicket falls like against England, Shakib comes in. If there is obviously been some time and the spinners are bowling and the right-hander gets out, then Mehdi Hassan Miraz has come in. At 6 and 7, they have Mushfiqur for experience, and 7, Mahmudullah, who's somebody who they claim can be a finisher, who's also very rusty as a player, hasn't played so much international cricket. As I said, it's the middle order. When I say middle order, the likes of Tanzit Tamim, Litton Das to stand up this game, because for them, like just what Zach said, I feel if they get above 240, for me, I think around the 270 mark, considering how much better the pitch gets, that's when they can compete in this game. Anything below that, they will struggle a bit.
But just a little bit more on Shakib, like Zach was saying, is 2019 was a phenomenal World Cup for him, 600 plus runs. But since then, he's not got a century. So it almost seems like, and then he's gone and announced that he doesn't want to be captain anymore. It almost feels like he's a reluctant captain for the World Cup. But like Quinton de Kock, take a leaf from his book, because he's playing so freely. He's almost playing like this burden is off his shoulder. So maybe he should just, I don't know, enjoy his last World Cup, and then we see him play in a more positive way, you think?
Well, when you are captain of the side, it's never easy, isn't it? Like, even if you want to just say, okay, I just want to enjoy my cricket, it just doesn't happen, because you are actually carrying everyone's frustrations also with that. You are absorbing that as a leader. And the good players, you want to strengthen their morale, but the guys who are not doing well, you actually want to kind of be there to help them in any which way possible. And that doesn't help for any captain, I would say, to be able to just go out there, focus on his game and enjoy. Doesn't happen. I think you are then your success, your mindset, everything is linked to team success. If team is having a good run, then you are enjoying things. If team is not having a good run, then you are just at times managing your emotions. You still have to spend time in preparing for the games. Speak to coaches, speak to bowling coach, batting coach, the head coach. It's a different scenario for a captain. So yeah, you can from outside maybe tell him that, okay, just enjoy your game, but it's not going to happen. As a captain, it's a very difficult space to be in and especially in a big tournament like World Cup.
Well, he's spoken about this. He's spoken about how he, at this point in his career, wanted to focus on his bowling and his batting and not take the responsibilities of what a captain has to go through. But like someone like a Bavuma, he's managed to separate out the responsibilities of being captain and being a batsman or an all-round. I mean, for Shakib, an all-rounder. So what is it that he can do at this point in his career where he says, okay, these are the responsibilities, let's separate this out from when I go down and start batting?
From a Shakib Al Hasan's point of view, he is under a lot of pressure. We all know how much the controversy was in the lead up to the World Cup with Tamim Iqbal not wanting to play at the end, and you would like to think that Bangladesh took a strong call as to if he's not going to play all, then let him out of it. So he has that pressure on him as well. I think the good thing is he's chosen a support staff who he really trusts and likes. Apart from Chandika being the head coach, he's brought on Bangladesh cricket, has rather brought on Sridharan Sriram, who was their sort of person who was involved in the World Cup in T20 as well. So he's a trusted aide, and his main role is to try and speak to most of the players and release the burden on Shakib Al Hasan, because he is batting. On top of that, he is also bowling. Add to the fact that he is a key member in the side. There's a lot of pressure on him. And just like Rohit Sharma, I think he also is in that phase where he doesn't care about what he has to do for himself. He's achieved everything possible. If the 2019 World Cup, by chance, they had qualified for the semi-finals, they were a long shot, but if they had, he could have well been the man of the series. He had that kind of a tournament in that World Cup. So on a personal level, he's achieved it all. It's all about what he can do for Bangladesh cricket in this World Cup.
Yeah, that's true. Well, we've got a Cricbuzz live question, which I also wanted to ask, but I'm just glad that it's come from one of you all watching. And Zach, this is something which I would like you to answer. But ahead of the Cricket World Cup 23, there was a lot of talk on left-arm pacers being a threat. But so far, why have we not seen a Stark, Shaheen or even Bold live up to their reputation?
Well, I think it's form-based, and usually you get in a tournament and wicket-taking form, if it's just following you, then things start to happen. We've seen that with Matt Henry. I think Matt Henry is a right example of explaining this question. As a bowler, you do everything. Yes, that left-arm seamer advantage is always there. But for that, conditions also have to support you. For that, you need to be in top form. The left arm advantage is what? The ball coming back into the right hander, which causes all sorts of trouble. If the ball is not swinging back, it goes with the angle. You have seen the swing in the tournament. It's not that you've not seen, but the numbers, I think we still have to wait. Maybe as we move closer to November, you will see some more help with the conditions. And these bowlers will get into that kind of a rhythm and form. So far, conditions have been on the drier side. New Zealand bowling first in bright and sunny condition is not going to help Bolt extract that swing. You've seen little bit of swing from Mitchell Stark. You've seen it from Marco yesterday also. You've seen from Ngidi also. The swing was on offer. I think it's still a long tournament. You'll see these bowlers hitting the strap and get onto that wicket-taking form.
Well, we hope to see Bolt do what he does, because we know how lethal he can be in the power play. He said something in the presentation today. This is what he had to say. But DK also, I hope Shaheen doesn't get into form tomorrow. But we'd like to see what Bolt has said. He says the biggest challenge when you come to India is the conditions you face across the country and how different it can be from north and south. As a bowler, you got to try and find a game plan that can combat that. Hopefully, get some tricks up my sleeve, is what Bolt had to say.
Look, he's a seasoned campaigner. The one thing for New Zealand is, most of these bowlers that we have spoken about have bowled first in most of the matches. So, in hot, sunny conditions, just like what Zach said, they're not getting enough swing. If they bowl at 6 o'clock, which is the second innings, you'll find a lot more swing. And out of the names spoken about, I think Mitchell Stark has actually bowled well. He picked up an early wicket against India, picked up 2 wickets yesterday. I understand the bowlers haven't exactly performed up to expectations, but let's stick to Bolt here. He's one of those bona fide performers. I mean, if you have him in their team, you can speak to Zach about it. When he was in MI, he was almost given that he will pick up an early wicket. I mean, let's take the 2020 final. I mean, it was a big game. He came in and just picked up Shreyas Iyer, and not Shreyas Iyer, I think he picked up Shikhar Dhawan and I'm getting it wrong, but anyway, he picked up early wickets and he was in fact man of the match. So that's the kind of skill he has. I mean, he is somebody who is very special for New Zealand, and I feel moving forward in this World Cup, in the later part of October and November, they'll have a massive role to play. And if these three names that you've spoken about and the teams need to do well, they have to stand up and do well for them, because they have the potential to get big wickets. And yesterday was a great example. When you don't pick wickets early, especially in the conditions given to Australia, you saw the kind of score that they got. Australia couldn't even get close because that was way above par. That was a 240, 250 pitch. Because they didn't strike early with the new ball, you can see the amount of extra runs you give at the back end.
But Zach, just one more follow-up I'd like to do. Because we have Zach in the studio, how can we not ask him? The other day you spoke about it, Simon spoke about it as well, is that yes, the conditions are not favouring too much swing. We saw Josh Hazelwood get some swing, Stark get a little bit of swing. But the other day also you spoke about maybe them changing their length around which they're struggling with. So do you think that should be plan B for them if they're not getting the swing, just kind of adjust their length, which is troubling, which will trouble batsmen further?
Yeah, I mean, that's always handy if you are able to have that control and change it, maybe change the angle, go around the wicket. You've seen bowlers do that. It all depends on that day, what is on offer, how the conditions are there, whether supporting you, not supporting you, if the into the wicket slow ones are working, all those kind of factors come into play. Also the batters, some batters are strong off the back foot, front foot, all those. It's a very complex decision making. But yeah, I think out of the box thinking is something which you have to always be open to. And if there is no help on offer, you've seen bowlers in the past also, like including me, I would try and find a way, maybe change the angle or just have that exaggerated wrist position to allow you to get some kind of swing effect. But not everyone can do that. So you have to play with the conditions. You have to see what the situation is. Also, what kind of scores your team has achieved. So if you're defending a very big total, then that gives you luxury and freedom to experiment. If you're defending a smallish total, then at times you get desperate. So if nothing is on offer, you try to do extra, and in the process you go for runs. So yeah, I think it's a very complex process, but the approach has to be to find a way of getting a wicket.
All right, we'll see if, like Bolt said, if he can manage to get some tricks up his sleeve. But they are going to be bowling first. Bangladesh bat first. We'll have a quick chat on Liton Das. We've spoken a little bit about him, but we've spoken about how he is key. He has to kind of set the stage for Bangladesh. He's somebody who initially used to struggle to take his innings beyond the 40-50 runs which he's come out of 2-3 years ago. He said he used to lose concentration when he was 30-40 runs into an innings, which he's changed. So we've seen him grow as a player, but a lot of responsibility on his shoulders.
Litton is a very different Bangladeshi batsman, and I say that only because a lot of their batters struggle to play good quality fast bowling. He is actually the opposite. He plays fast bowling a lot better, plays better on bouncy tracks, and that's why you see when the conditions are good for batting in terms of bounce, he always gets runs. He is somebody who is very good square of the wicket and strong player of fast bowling, and that came through even in Dharamshala in those trying conditions. So in this game, and that's why I said that I would be surprised if he gets a lot of runs, because it is a very different pitch to what he played in Dharamshala. Not the best player of spin. Shantos, Shakib is much better player of spin. So he has been a batter that they look forward to, because one of the better and good looking batsmen in Bangladesh, when he gets going, we all remember the knock he played against India in the T20 World Cup. Got a 65 in literally 35 balls and set the tone for them. So he can take down good bowlers. He has that skill. He got picked for KKR as well. And for me, he is a batter who is a bit of a inconsistent player, but when he gets going, he's great to watch.
All right, I just realized that I've gotten carried away talking to Zach and DK. So you have to quickly do what our tradition at Cricbuzz is one, answer Joyda's question. Until then, you can also think of your prediction scores and keep. But let's have a look at the joy factor question of the day. Well, though this cricketer got 5 wickets on his ODI debut, a player from the opposite camp was adjudged man of the match in what was his 3rd ODI. Name both the players.
A player from the opposite team had been adjudged
the man of the match. Who it was his 3rd ODI.
So basically, yeah, somebody's taken 5 wickets, but somebody in the opponent has done even better than the 5 wickets. I don't know what that is, but that is such a vague question.
The questions
But
are
I'm
vague,
sure
but
it's
I've got the
something to do with New Zealand or Bangladesh for a start. And we have to start there and then start thinking. I have no idea what it is.
So we are back to where we always are. We have no idea, but we've at least managed to decipher the question today. So that's a positive step forward. Let's do our prediction quickly. Yesterday, Simon managed to redeem the English Cricbuzz live studio because he got a prediction right. So I think we should follow suit and try and get something right. Zach, your prediction at the
245.
245. He had it ready, TK.
262.
245, 262, I'm going to go lower and say 228. That's where I'm going to go. We'll have a look and see if we manage to do what we did yesterday and get our predictions right. You all also write in, tell us on Twitter what your predictions are going to be. Let's see if any of us get it right. That's all for now, but don't forget to join us at the 15th over point at the Cricbuzz Combox. If you all miss anything, we'll be there. So we'll see you soon.